Okay, well, it's about 2 after. I think we can get started. Thank you everyone for joining us today. My name is Thea Lavin, and I am the Director of Communication, Development, and Middle East Programs at reGeneration Education. We're so happy to have you here today for our first webinar in this really intriguing series that we're kicking off. And we have some more folks streaming in. This webinar is being recorded and it'll be posted on our YouTube page. And I will send a link to all of you of the recording afterwards. So reGeneration Education is a US nonprofit working for peace by creating more peaceful childhoods. We believe that the road to peace starts at home and at school, in nurturing, holistic, trauma-informed classrooms that provide an education that heals. And that is where reGeneration comes in. For 15 years, reGeneration has been increasing access to trauma-informed childhood education in the Holy Land. Today, thanks to the generous support of the Lisa and Maury Friedman Foundation, we are launching a webinar series featuring conversations with some of the Palestinian and Jewish Israeli peacemakers that we are so fortunate to support and work alongside, as well as international education, psychology, and conflict resolution experts, all of whom are forging new paths to peace. It's going to be an incredible webinar series in the months ahead, and I'm so glad that you have joined us. Today, we are thrilled to kick off our first webinar with a discussion with Ihab and Ora Balha, two incredible Palestinian and Israeli Jewish parents and peace activists that I've been fortunate enough to meet in Jaffa, and I know many of you may have as well. Ihab and Ora are married and they have 3 young children, and Ihab is doing the heroic work of putting the kids to bed, so he'll be joining us shortly. He's just tending his children. So Ihab and Ora are the co-founders of the Orchard of Abraham's Children, a school and Israeli NGO that was born out of an exceptional love story between a Muslim man and a Jewish woman, of which you'll hear more shortly. Ihab is a Muslim Arab from Jaffa, is a spiritual leader and a peace activist, and Ora, a Jewish body movement therapist originally from the Galilee, fell in love. As I mentioned, you'll hear more about that shortly. And despite the gaps and tension between their two cultures, the couple took a leap of faith and tied the knot. In 2008, Noor, their first child, was born, and soon they were faced with a profound dilemma. Do they send him to a Jewish kindergarten, an Arab kindergarten? There was at that time no good available option for parents who wanted to raise their children multiculturally, which is an essential first step, we believe, at reGeneration for peace. In 2010, Ora and Ihab took it upon themselves and they founded one of the first ever bilingual multicultural kindergartens for Jewish, Christian, and Muslim children, based on love and acceptance for all children, for all religions and cultures in the Holy Land. Ihab and Ora call the Orchard of Abraham's Children a new, groundbreaking educational, social, and community model, transcending barriers of fear and ignorance, and cultivating a culture of respect amongst communities and individuals. In addition to co-founding and managing the Orchard of Abraham's Children, Ihab, who's putting the kids to sleep, is an Islamic cleric and researcher in the Sufi movement. Ihab leverages the sanctifying Islamic values of peace and love to build bridges and join hearts. And Ora, who is here, works alongside Ihab at the Orchard. She is an intercultural mediator motivated by the belief that each person is a messenger of peace and love. Ora is a qualified dance teacher and Feldenkrais method instructor. She's also an experienced Sufi whirling teacher and has considerable knowledge of the Sufi Mevlavi order. And Ihab and Ora are leading an inspirational life of reconciliation, coexistence, and creating a culture of peace in Israel. And when we decided to launch this webinar series, they were the first people that came to mind that we really wanted to get the word out about how they're doing it under increasingly challenging, increasingly difficult circumstances in Israel. How are they creating this oasis of coexistence, this oasis of understanding? And so I'm so excited to talk to them today. Ora you mentioned where is everyone else? We do have many people on this panel, but they are hidden. You just can see me, sadly. So we're not in a traditional Zoom format. So while we're waiting for Ihab to join us, thank you, Ora, so much for being with us tonight. And could you just tell us a little bit about, before you met Ihab and began living this intercultural life and then moving on to create peace with other parents, Jewish, Israeli, and Palestinian, what were your childhood interactions with Palestinians like? Were there any significant experiences that brought you to where you are today?
Well, first of all, hello everyone. Assalamu alaikum, shalom. Very happy, very excited to be here, and thank you, Tia, for bringing this opportunity. Inshallah, we'll do our best to share a story and to inspire. I grew up in the Galilee, in the north, in Israel, a nice Jewish family. And actually, I never had any experience with meeting Arabs or having like a personal relationship or anything. So a lot of the Jewish education in Israel, basically the education in Israel is separated through religions. So the Jewish people go to Jewish schools, the Muslim to Muslim schools, and Christian to Christian schools. And so there's not a lot of opportunities to actually meet. I grew up with, good education, very pluralist, but then at the same time, as I mentioned, a lot of ignorance towards who is not Jews, who is not Jewish, whether they were Christians, Christian Arabs or a Muslim in Israel and outside. I think as many people in Israel, I grew up with a lot of fear from Arabs. A lot of, ignorance creates fear because you don't know the language, you don't know the culture, and everything is so frightful. We live in a state, in a country where there's a lot of fear, a lot of violence, and the policy of the governments from all sides are very much into separation, not into unity between people. So everything is feeding you fear. And so when I was hearing someone speaking Arabic, I would be terrified. I thought, they're planning a terror attack. So this is how I grew up, with a lot of fear. And here's Ihab, who just joined us. He was putting the children to sleep, so he's my hero.
Welcome. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. How are you?
Good. Thank you so much for joining us. And or did you want to just continue on with what you were saying, or?
So basically, I was to be honest, I was never a peace activist and never thought about being an educator. I always working with dance and movement, and that was kind of my experience. But it was always very important for me that even the dance, even the movement was an instrument to bring light into this world, to reflect love, to reflect humanity, to reflect our true nature. And so it was always for me an investigation, like to discover how we can do it. And then one day I was 28 and I saw Ihab. That was 17 years ago. I didn't know anything about him. I didn't know who he was at all. But I knew he was my husband. That was the very clear understanding that this is my husband, the father of my children. And this is where it kind of started.
Awesome, thank you. And Ihab, thank you so much for being a modern dad and taking the lead and putting the kids to bed. Appreciate it. And welcome so much. And Ora, we just started our conversation talking about, you guys are very rare in Israel. Not only are you a Palestinian, Arab, and Jewish couple, but you also founded one of the first, or possibly the first, bilingual kindergartens in Israel. Bilingual education is quite rare, bringing the two peoples together in an educational setting. We were just, before we start talking about that work and about your work bringing the parent communities together, could you talk a little bit about how you came into this type of life? And Ora was just sharing about how her growing up in the Galilee, what brought her into it. What was your life like before you met Ora and before you started doing this coexistence work? And what was the moment that that changed for you and what happened?
Okay, first of all, Assalamu alaikum. Thank you that you're having us. And we're really excited to see you and all of you, inshallah. I don't know if Ora shared with you, but I grew up with a lot of hate for the Jew people. Because my father, when he was 14 years old, the war here started, and he lost to his brother. And he ran away from here with his family, and he came back here after 3 years. He was in the refugee camp. And my mother, she gave birth 7 times. We are 7 brothers and sisters. And my father teach us to hate the Jew. And I grew up with a lot of hate. But thank God, when I was 20, I think 20, I started to work with my father in the restaurant. I met a lot of people. And one of them, I met an Israeli guy that we argue and we fight physically about Arab and Jew in the beginning. After few, fighting together, we start to meet and that's the first time I met any Israeli that he talked with me was from his heart, not from his mind. And our relationship started and we became like friends. And few years later, something happened in my heart. I let all the anger and the hate, and because we need people that can listen to us, and also it's important to listen to the other. And here in Israel, we don't have people that we have the wall. The wall? It's a big wall between the West Bank and here, and it's psychological because the Israeli can hear about the Palestinian people only from the media. And the media have control in their mind, and the same in the same thing in the West Bank. And they never met, they never talk, they never share, they never even fight. Only a lot of hate and anger. And thank God, when I was 28, it was the first step in my life. I started to lead peace projects. I started to bring people together to sit together, and I felt this is my mission. That I know 2 religions, I know 2 cultures. And thank God, day after day, it grew up and people start to hear about us, about our organizations. Before I met Ora, And anyway, and my family get crazy about me and they cut the relationship with me because for them, it's like big shame that I left the anger and I start to lead peace project. And for them, it was, wow. Disaster thing. And I didn't meet anybody from my family 5 years. I continue my peace project. And I remember when I was 34, I realized I have to come back to my family. I became sheikh, I started to learn Islam, and I came back to my family. And I said, I took all my ego, I put him in the refrigerator. And I said, please forgive me, I did mistakes. Please, I want to come back to my family. I love you, all of you. And thank God, I came back to them, but I realized if I will continue my peace project and my family continue to hate the Jew, we will fight immediately. In my heart, in my mind, I said, my new project now, to take all the anger and the hate from my family, from their heart. And I start to bring Jewish people to my family house. And in the beginning, my father screaming, shouting, my family. After 6 months, they met 1,000 Israeli. They start to talk, to share, to listen, to accept, because we need people that can listen to us, to hear. And all his anger left after 1 year. My family became part of my peace project. And I remember I went to Mecca to do pilgrimage. You know what's pilgrimage? It's Hajj, in the holy place for the Muslim in the Saudi Arabia. And I was months there. I met my aunt that she ran away from here in 1948. And my father, the last day, told me, you have to get married. You are 35. You are single. You have to. He thought if I will get married, I will be normal Arab without this project. I came back after 1 month here with my family, with my parents. And after 3 days, I went to Sinai in the desert. It was an amazing place, the best vibe. I met Ora. After 1 day, we get married. You know the story. We realized that we are one. We don't have to talk too much, no time. And my family get crazy. They get shocked. They can't even imagine. For them, it's a disaster thing that happened that they get married. Anyway, after 1 year, they start to meet Ora. It's a long process, but thank God. And my family start to meet Ora without all the border. They start to meet a human, no Israeli, no Jewish. And they start to love her, to discover her. And thank God, after a few months, she became a princess in our family. And she brings for us a lot of light, a new consciousness, and a lot of love and good change, the best change in our family. And the first child came, Noor, our son, after 2 years almost. And we looked for him for kindergarten. We didn't find bilingual, because I speak with Noor in Arabic and Ora speak with him in Hebrew. And we decided, she said, let's open for him kindergarten. And I said, where? She said, in your father's yard. I said, you crazy? My father's yard? She said, try. I said, okay, you're a Jew, you know how to take land. I will try with my father. I remember I asked my father, I will build here kindergarten for Arab and Jews. He said, you crazy? You'll bring Jew here every day. After 2 days, he agreed. Thank God. We started the journey with our son, Noor, and with another Jewish girl. For them, we bring 2 teachers, and we was 4 parents for 2 kids. And psychology, maybe 10 people around 2 kids. And our journey started, thank God. And we realized a lot of people want peace, want love. People start to hear about us. And today we have almost 300 kids in our kindergarten. We have, I don't know, maybe 60 staff. We have also in the north kindergartens. And we change the reality. We open a new windows for many people. And thank God. Sorry, I make the answer long. I'm sorry, but we know that many people really deeply want love, want peace. They want to be, in a safety place. And today we have maybe 100 kids waiting list. I answered you. I don't know if I answered.
Yes, amazing. Thank you. It's not too long at all. Every time that I hear Ihab, you tell your life story, it always is so profound every time. So thank you so much for sharing it with us. And what great risk that you both took in choosing love and choosing a path together. It's so inspiring. And, also it's a model, for the communities, the Jewish and Palestinian Arab communities in Jaffa and throughout Israel. And just like your parents had reservations, what reservations when so you guys got married, you had children, you said, how are we going to educate them? We're not going to do just Hebrew. We're not going to do just Arabic. We're going to have to start it ourselves. We're going to have to make our own school. And then once you, in 2011, opened your first kindergarten, what were some of the reservations that the Israeli Jewish community had about coming into a multicultural bilingual school? And what were some of the reservations that the Palestinian Arab community have? And how did you overcome the concerns? Because I know you guys have, I think it's 40% or maybe even coming up on 50% of your students are Palestinian Arab. That's incredible that you have that much participation from both peoples. How did you overcome their concerns and their fears? What worked?
Well, first of all, when we started it, we didn't have a plan. Now we're gonna build a huge project. It was, after the first day in the kindergarten for Noor, we came back home and I said, oh, finally I can go back to my career. And Ihab said to me, no, now you're gonna run the kindergarten. So we didn't plan, but so we started with Noor and another child, and we brought for them 2 teachers. And we said, we paid a lot of money because we needed to take care of 2 teachers. But eventually, after first month, 5 more people came in, then 6 and 7. After the end of the first year, there was 15 children, and people were just, we never until today we had any publicity. It's just from people sharing and bringing their friends, and and then the children, the second year the children grew, and there was a demand from the community. Everyone were calling, do you have another class for younger children? So we opened the second class, and then a year later we opened the 3rd class, and so on and so on. So today we have 7 classes in Jaffa, and we grew organically. So it's not as if we went, to the Jewish people and tried to convince them to join us. People heard about it. Now it's attracting people for different reasons. Each one has their own thing that touches their heart. One of them, of course, is the existence together. It's being who we are, in accepting the other, accepting the differences. Some come because they like the Steiner education. Some, which is, it's not competitive. Jaffa education is very competitive. It's very stressful. And some come because of the orchard, because we have half an acre of just trees in an old orchard with very old, like 500 years, olive trees. We have goats and chickens. It's like being in a village, like the old days in the middle of the city. So some people come because of that, but all of them stay and feel at home, because this is the main message of this place is be who you are, be home, feel at home. And so it changes the consciousness of the parents into love instead of fear. And so in the beginning, we had mostly Jewish people coming because most, Jewish people knew more about the Steiner education. The Arabs were much more suspicious, first because of this type of education, then because of that, children actually play with sand. They actually get dirty. And so it was hard for them, because in a lot of the Arab community is a lot about cleanliness. Everything has to be very clean, very tight, very, and not necessarily being with animals and being outside and experiencing nature.
I'm just going to jump in real quick. Sorry to interrupt you. Just for anyone on the call who doesn't know what Steiner education is, we're talking about Waldorf education and reGeneration in a research report we just published called Closing the Gap. Waldorf education, we believe that is qualifies as trauma-informed education, that it is a type of holistic education that is very good for children growing up with toxic stress exposure, such as Palestinian, Arab, and Jewish Israeli children growing up under the conflict, the stress of the conflict. So it's one very holistic type of education. Sorry, go ahead, Ora, please continue.
Yeah. And so I think one of the most important things that, part of the of the conflict here in Jaffa is being expressed by, because Jaffa is a mixed city, that people are afraid to lose their identity. Okay, so they're hold on even more to their Jewish identity or Muslim identity or Christian identity. And the thing about the Orchard of Abraham's Children is that be who you are. You don't have to let go of your identity. You just have to know the others, so you're not going to be afraid of them. So you just need to accept them and even teach them about yourself, teach them about your language. And so it creates a lot of happiness, unity. You know, we're living in so much stress and fear. And then when you actually see the monster in the closet and you just get to watch it eye to eye, the fear is dissolved. So people feel a lot of relief. And so you were asking about, like, so there was a lot of people being suspicious about us in the beginning. But we've started the 13th year, alhamdulillah, and there is we have very strong reputation, like reputation in a way that, you know, people share to people, they bring their friends and they bring more friends. And as Ihab said, there is a very long waiting list. Like we opened a new group this year, the 7th group. We built a new building. We actually like physically built a new building, which was amazing. It's amazing.
I want to add something, if it's okay. First of all, my sister, in the beginning, I invite her, she have two kids. I said, please, you can bring him to our kindergarten. She laughed, she said, no, I don't want my sister to grow up with you. And with my children with you. And after, thank God, 2 years, the third one and number 4, they grew up in our kindergarten. Now, this is a change for me. One of the story, we have Jewish brother, that he had a lot of fear from women with hijab. He shared with us that he have a lot of fear with women, Muslim women. And he bring his daughter, maybe something will happen, some change. And he shared with us, one day he was in the bus with his daughter. She grew up in our kindergarten and she knows bilingual. And suddenly one of women with hijab, she sit behind him and he started to check and he feel stress. And suddenly his daughter, she started to talk with the woman. She's Ashkenaz, she's Jewish girl, still small, 5 years. And immediately she started to, she talked with the woman with the hijab and they start to sing together and they hug each other. And he was shocked. He shared with us. He said, I grew up with a lot of fear. And my daughter, she grew up with love, with, you know, no separation, no way, I am better than the other. No, you know, how to say, too much ego. You realize she grew up with a lot of, you know, unity. And thank God we never push ourselves. Never, never, never. Who want to come to listen to us, to hear them, welcome. We feel we have to change the reality without noisy, without too much, you know. And people here, what we try to say to the people, to let them down, this land is not for us. We never own anything in this life. We never. It's a big illusion. We think we own something. We never own anything. We always share the story that we have 2 brothers that they fight about the land, like the Jew and the Arab. This is my land, this is my land. The first one, I'm before you, and you know the story. And he said, I will kill you, I will kill you, this is my land. The second one, I'm before you, I will kill you. And suddenly, smart man, he walked there. And they told him, find solution between us before we will kill each other. The first one says, this is my land, listen to me, I'm the truth. The second one said, listen to me, I'm the truth. I will kill you, I will kill you. He said, okay, I will listen for both of you, the smart man, he said. But please, I also want to listen to the earth, because God, he also created the earth. And he put his ear, suddenly start to laugh and laugh. They told him, what, you crazy? You are laughing? We almost kill each other. This is my land, this is my land. He said, the land said, both of you belong to me. You understand this stuff? Because always we have a lot of illusion. We try to say that we are this land, we serve the land, but she also serve us. We don't have to fight. It's a very important point. And what's Ora say? We have here amazing side. It's a spiritual side. It's very important. Here in the Holy Land, I have to say, we need spiritual leaders because we have a lot of politician people. What is politician people? They start from the mind, a lot of mind, ideology, thinking here, not here. They lost the heart, and God, He created this and this. We can't lose our heart. And many people, they are very smart people here in the Holy Land, but they forgot their heart. And we try to call the people, please come back to your heart. Because if I am, we say always, if I am as an Arab or as a Muslim, if I love only Arab, I hate you. I never understand what is love. If I love all the creation, because God created everything. And the most important thing in our journey, in our process, we took every week all the stuff, the women. We believe that the women, they can make big change. The women that teach it. Every week we have collegium. I don't know what in English, collegium, how to say. We sit all teacher training every week, 60 staff. We talk, we learn, we share, we cry, we laugh, many workshops, everything. We learn how to make cheese, how to make love, everything we learn together. And the teacher, Jew and Arab, Palestinian and Israeli, they grew up together. Amazing process, and they reflect for the kids unity, and they reflect for the community also unity. Understand? It's important when the women together. It's an amazing, power. Sorry, I make the answer long. Sorry.
No, you never have to apologize for making the answer long because it's so profound and wise. I wish I had the opportunity to go to a school you ran when I was growing up. The people who were in my school didn't have the same philosophy. Thank you so much. And or were you leaning in to say something? Oh,
here you can come. It's okay.
Yes. And I wanted to tell everyone, the folks that are listening, jump in at any time with a question in the chat, and I can ask it. One, questions I had, and in listening to what you were saying is, but what about the times when it's really, really hard? Like, what does your community do when there are bombs being exchanged between, Israel and Hamas? Or what do you do when there's stabbings, when there's terrorism? What do you guys do then when in the really, really hard moments?
So, for example, last year in May, we had, there was actually a war here, and it was in Jaffa. So there was two things were happening. One was we had missiles coming from Gaza. There was war with Gaza. Israel was attacking Gaza, and they were attacking back, and it was coming to this area. But at the same time, exactly, there was a lot of hatred. It was like a wave of violence washing over Jaffa. It was all Jaffa was closed. The whole city was closed. We had to close for 1 week, even almost 10 days. I think we had to close the kindergarten. They closed all education system, everything around here. And so a lot of people from the community got hurt. Cars were burned. There was a lot of settlers, not from Jaffa, from somewhere, some settlements. They came into Jaffa, did very violent parades, running into people's houses and beating Arabs, and then Jewish people, Arab people in the street. It was chaotic. There was police everywhere. We felt like, in the heart of a citizen war. Many people got hurt. And so, as I said, we closed the kindergarten, but we kept on communicating with the community and with the staff. We had every day we had an open line that we could, people needed help. That there were some people who were so afraid to get out of their houses because under their house there would be a lot of violence. So we had volunteers from, like, parents would bring food, like Jewish people would go and bring food or whatever they need to Muslim families, because there was a lot of attacks on Muslim ladies that had hijab. And we had Zoom like a dialogue with all the community, that people could share what is going on with them, how they're feeling. There was a lot of fear, there was a lot of stress, but I think that it really brought us together even stronger. And more than that, that was May 21, and the 2 years before of the COVID was a lot of stress on the orchard financially. There was not a lot of kids had to leave because their family couldn't afford it. There was, a big there was a crush, a financial crush all over the world. So it affected us as well. And after those events that was here, many more families, people understood that this is the way that we have to educate our children from a very early age, that we are one, that we have to raise them together in a very mindful environment. It's not only bilingual. It's not a bilingual school. We don't call it bilingual school because it's not. We call it human first education, because it's really seeing who you are as a human being first, before you're a man or a woman or a child or whatever. It's just seeing you as a creation. And so after that, the community has grown every year in 25%. So, and it's a lot. So let's say May 20, we were, and then September 2020, when we start the new year, we grew in 25%. And now this September 22, we grew in another 25%. So it's big, it's big. It's more classes, more teachers, more parents, more children.
But what I want to add about your question, that we try to sit every day almost with the staff to keep the energy together, to hold the energy, and also the parents community. And we did a lot of Zoom almost every day, and many people share, even many thousand people who didn't know who and they share with us that they how it's important that we did a lot of good work. Now they realize what we did, that they give the kids grow up together with a lot of unity and accept the other. And we always say, because it's politician point, we always say your identity, your real identity, we always say for all the people there, it's your deeds, it's your actions.
It's not if you're a Muslim or a Jew. It's
now
who you are.
We always feel that now what's happened in the last year, God, how to say, test us, which if we will also become angry, we will hate, or we continue the peace. We always say there are no way to peace. There are no paths to peace. Peace is the way. And we keep this energy, and many people start to realize this every day.
Incredible. It's very inspiring what you just both said. Thank you. And we have time for about 1 or 2 more questions. But before we get into our final questions, I can't believe 40 minutes just zip by in like a millisecond, which is what it's always like when I speak to you, Ihab and Ora. It always goes by in a second. I want to open up questions for the audience if they have any questions, but I actually have 2 questions for the audience, for the folks that are listening in. My first question is, reGeneration, we want to get the word out. Our mission as a U.S. nonprofit essentially is to build peace by supporting trauma-informed holistic peace education for the youngest members of the residents of the Holy Land. In order to do that, we need your help to get the word out about partners like Ihab and Ora. We need you to help us spread the word. So is there anyone in your life that you think would be interested in hearing this recording, would be interested in hearing from other peacemakers like Ihab and Ora in the future? You can chat me in their name and email, or you can send it to, I'm just going to write my email here right now. Typed any typos? No, great. You can send it there. You'll also get a follow-up email from me. If there's anyone you think that would like to hear about these, I will not add them to an email list. I will personally reach out to them, engage their interest. So they won't get added to an email list. You just get a personal email from me. And if they don't respond or don't want to be added, I won't. My second question is, so, many parents in Jaffa and the Galilee have told Ihab and Ora they want this kind of education for their children to continue past kindergarten. Ora mentioned 25% growth every year. That's amazing. And so they are going to, in 2023, their plans are to open the first grade of an elementary education. This is historic stuff in Israel, to be, launching an elementary school based on the principles of love, coexistence, nonviolence, and a shared future together. This is historic stuff that they're setting out to do. We want to invite you today to support them. They had a goal of raising $100,000 to kick off their elementary school. They have raised $90,000. They need $9,000 they need $9,000 more to reach their goal. So I want to invite you to invest in the future. Invite you to invest in peace. We are in the United States. We see in the headlines what is happening. This is an opportunity to make a difference. This is an opportunity to make a direct impact. 100% of your gift will go directly to the Orchard for Abraham. Any donations given through reGeneration's website in the next 48 hours until midnight, Thursday, September 15th, will go directly to the Orchard of Abraham. You see, I'm going to put this here again. Sorry, it's just me over here. I don't have a staff to do the tech. You just go to the website, upper right-hand corner, and press donate. Your gift will 100% go to investing in the future we all want to live in, the Israel we all want to live in, the Holy Land we all want to live in. This is an opportunity to be part of building the next generation of peace movement. So I hope you take us up on it. So any questions from the audience? We have time for about one, maybe two more. Okay, so my question that is, and this was actually from one of our board members, Maury, who I don't think you guys have met in Ihab and Ora yet. He grew up in Gaza City. He's an incredible member of our board. He wanted to ask you, how have you been able to model respect for all cultures and people, and at the same time create the foundation for social change rooted in equity, peace, and justice for all? How do you model respect and creating a foundation for equity and justice?
Well, first of all, thank you, and thank you everyone. Inshallah, we will open, if God will open our first grade next year in September. We're very excited about it, and inshallah, all of you will be partner with that. And I have to, before I answer the question, it's very important for us to say that if you ever come to Israel, we invite everyone to come and visit, because it's really important, because we need your energy to do that. It's kind of a lot of what feeds us, that we know that we have many friends around the world. So yeah, don't hesitate and come to visit. And so, we are living in a very unfair. There's a lot of injustice around us all the time. We see it every day. But at the same time, we have to model for our own children an environment that we have to paint a world for them to see that the world is good, that there is justice, that there is beauty, that there is unity. Because when they grow up, because they have these values that are so inside of them, they will, they will work and wish to create this world. So we are raising ambassadors, and of course we see the injustice. With a lot of we do a lot of education and everything that we mentioned before, but another part of our organization deals a lot with helping a lot of Palestinians in need, in a way. There's a lot of mixed marriages between Israelis and Palestinians, but they don't have, they have families, they live in Israel and everything, but they don't have any rights here. They can't even go to a doctor. They are illegal here, and they have their children, their house, their work, everything, but they're not legal here. So there's a lot of injustice around here. So we see that, and we help as much as we can on all sides. But at the same time, for our children and for our we have to model that the world, we have to show that the world is good, that the world is positive, because this is what, first to protect them, but then to have the vision in their heart of what the world can be. A lot of people in Israel, Arabs and Jews, are raised upon so much fear, and then the world is scary and terrifying, and there's always an enemy. Someone is always trying to kill us, to get to take something away from us. We don't want that. We want to change this consciousness. We want to change the consciousness of fear into loving and accepting the other. And so it kind of sounds like, people say, oh, you're not connected to the reality. You're like in dreamland. But this is what we do here. We are completely connecting to the reality. We are reacting to the reality. We are reacting in a way that does good, that makes change. And of course, as we said, we model it by our staff work. And so our staff is coming from many different backgrounds. Some of them are actually Palestinians from the West Bank who are living in Israel. Some of them are Arabs from Jaffa. Some of them are Jews, and some of them are Christians. And by living together, studying together, working together, helping one another, we heal the injustice. We heal ourselves. And this is what we're trying to reflect. It's not easy, but we're trying to do that.
I will add something, if it's okay, 1 minute. The disaster thing, the injustice, the biggest one, that we live in a politician situation that we lost our heart. The politician people try to separate in our body between our mind and our heart. This is a job. You're always thinking you don't have heart. This is a disaster thing. This is injustice. We have to come back to our heart, and we have to realize that what we have here is the reality. We have two nations, one of them Palestinian, one of them Israel. We have, Maslow, the Maslow needs. First of all,
Yes.
the first one, we need food, house. If you have the middle one, if we have this, we need financially, like air conditioners, car, laptop. If we have everything, we look for spiritual, chipus, search. Okay, the Israeli, most of them live up. They have a lot of, yoga, capoeira, guitar, everything. A lot of workshops, search, spiritual search. The Palestinian live down. Understand? It's the base, the basic, and you can't ask from both sides the same thing. The Israeli have to wake up from the sleeping, everything, don't care. We have to wake, and the Palestinian have to also wake up from the victim's place. You understand? This and we have to move together. This way, and this is this way. But after we have to meet, and I think we have a lot of work. It's process. It's long process, because maybe after 30 years something will happen. We have, how Ora said, we have ambassadors. The new generation, they said, "Khalas, enough with the victims, with the war. We want new life now. We want to live like all the young in the world." And inshallah, we believe that something will happen if we will start to grow up together.
Thank you. Shukran, Toda. Thank you so much. And we can probably end there. And that, next generation that you just mentioned, Ihab, the work that you are doing of holding them and nurturing them as they become the ambassadors for the future that we all want to see in the Holy Land. Thank you so much for doing the work. I know it's a 7-day-a-week job that you've been doing for a long time, the two of you, and thank you so much. And as I mentioned before, they have a $9,000 gap to open first grade. And so let's build that first grade for these kiddos and that are going to be building the future that we want to see. So I thought I was typing the URL and my email to all of you. I was just typing it to myself. So I just shared it in the chat. You should see it there. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. And thank you, Ihab and Ora. And also thank you to the Lisa and Maury Friedman Foundation for sponsoring this webinar series. The next webinar will be in about a month. And in about a week or so, I will be sending out the dates and the speakers and the topic. We hope to have these on a monthly basis, and many, many conversations to come. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Thea. Thank you so much. And thank you, everyone.
Thank you, beloved. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you.